Hey everyone, it's David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center. And we've got some new stuff this week. Bet you're surprised. Anyway, got a bunch of the cool stuff that's hit our shelves in the past week to show you. Let's check them out. So the first one I want to show you today, it's not strictly a new item, but it is back in stock. We thought these were gone for good before, but we've managed, don't ask us how, to get some more of the ZT566. This is a discontinued model, but we've got a little bit left, and we've got it marked down to $119.95. That's a great deal on an American-made, overbuilt, zero-tolerance knife. It's a Rick Hinderer design. We've got a blade, it's about 3¼ inches long, great size for EDC without being too big. S35 VN steel with a stonewash finish. It's a great working blade. Great working blade, really. You can get a lot of stuff done. Handles, titanium frame lock. It is a ZT after all. G10 handles, and we've got a reversible deep carry pocket clip, so you can carry it nice and easily. Now, unlike a lot of other ZTs, this is an assisted opening knife. Features their speed safe assisted opening, so goes out quick every time. Anyway, great little knife at a great price, under 120 bucks, but quantities are limited, and this time when they're gone, we're pretty sure they are gone for good, for real, so don't wait. All right, now for some truly new stuff, we've got a new SPYDERCO Sprint Run. This is the Stretch 2 Lightweight with a straight spine. Now the standard stretch model, of course, rather than being straight here, has a bit of a scoop out, ending in sort of a drop point shape. It's kind of a hunting profile, or it's intended as a hunting profile as one of its uses. But I just love this straight back look. It's really cool. It's almost kind of like the blade of the Paramilitary 2, actually, if you look at it. Kind of sands the handle, but the handle's cool too. FRN handles, bidirectional texturing with this really cool ivory color, this off-white, eggshell, whatever you want to call it. But it creates a Spyderco that looks, I can't think of any other Spyderco that looks quite like this. I really like it. Price $94.25. Steel, VG10, just like the standard stretch. But it feels really good. You've got all those benefits of the Delica family of knives, where you got a 4-position pocket clip and a boy dent equipped lockback, so anyone can use it. It's great for lefties or righties. You can carry it tip up, tip down, either way. Suits a lot of different preferences. Feels good. There's a good amount of real estate on the handle, and you got that good finger choil for choking up. Control that blade a little more easily. Full flat grind. It's great. Sprint Run too, so like that ZT, quantities are limited. Quantities are a little more limited than on that ZT, I must admit, so get it. Cool knife. That's not the only Sprint Run Spyderco we have this week, though. There's a new MANIX 2 in town. Brown G10 handles on this guy. M390 steel. Now, they did this not too long ago with a satin blade, but now we've got this black DLC-coated blade on this variant, on this Sprint Run variant. It's got some similar qualities to that stretch. We've got plenty of handle length, that choil for choking up, full flat grind for great slicing, but you have that leaf-shaped blade with a bit of a dropped point to it. Orients very well, points down just a little bit, so there's a great tactical knife in addition to being good for heavier work, larger jobs, that sort of thing. And the G10 feels great. Of course, you've got their ball bearing lock and a reversible pocket clip. So you can't carry it tip up, you can't carry it tip down like you can the stretch, but another great ambidextrous option, left or right, because that lock goes all the way through the handle, and you can flick it. Gotta love that. Again, really cool, $148.85 on this. And again, Sprint Run, limited quantities. I promise this is the last, no, I lied. There's more stuff with limited quantities coming up. Stick around. One more Spyderco. Got 3 this week. This one is not a Sprint Run though, so this is not so much a limited quantity knife. This is the Sage 5 Lightweight. The Sage series, of course, from Spyderco is known for having the same profile overall, but utilizing a bunch of different locking mechanisms over the years. And this particular one features their compression lock, Spyderco's patented compression lock. And of course, because of that compression lock, it's very easy to open and close one-handed while keeping your fingers out of the closing path of the blade, which is definitely an appreciated feature. I really appreciate it on my daily carry knives for sure. The handles are bidirectional FRN, but it's not the same texture as that stretch or the Delica and Endura family of knives either. It's a little bit different, a little bit more subtle, but it looks pretty good. Works just as well, certainly. folded over wire pocket clip on each side. You do get a hint of the end of the handle sticking up. And you can flick it open kind of like that ball bearing lock too. And the steel is S30V in this case. Got that full flat grind, got that finger choil, the one hand opening hole. It's a SPYDERCO blade. You know them, you love them, they work phenomenally. And price on this is $113.75. And just one other observation we had over here, if you like the Para 3 lightweight, but wish it had an upgrade in steel, you might want to check this out. Kind of a similar size, similar shape, not identical of course, but this might get you where you want to be with that S30V steel at just under 114 bucks. All right, so I will admit everything so far has not strictly been brand new, at least in terms of the model. They've been variants or a pre-existing model already, but this one is all new. This is the new K-Bar 1266 with a modified Tanto blade, 8 inches long of 1095 CV steel. Really cool. Now, looking at this at first glance, your first reaction is probably not Tanto profile, but in terms of actual traditional Tanto blades, this is closer to those than the more modern American style Tanto, which we'll get to something with that a little bit later on. But you know what I'm talking about with that sharper point or that more defined point here at the end. This actually has more in common with those traditional Japanese blades. This is a full stick tang knife, and we've got rubber overmolded handles rather than the traditional K-Bar stacked leather, but it feels really good. There's a little bit of give to the handles. They're nice and grippy without being too soft, if you know what I mean, but it handles really well. I like the balance of this knife a lot. Of course, we've got a saber grind with a flat geometry and a nice long swedge running almost the entire length of the blade. Keeps the weight down a little bit and keeps the tip nice and sharp. Really likes to move quickly if you snap your wrist. I really like it. And if you were to exchange these handles for something with like a ray skin wrap, very, very cool, very Tanto inspired. $81.95 for this right now. USA made fixed blade, high quality, just over 80 bucks. You can't go wrong. Comes with a nice sheath too. It's a hard plastic type affair, has MOLLE compatible attachment points, good to go. Really good package overall. Next, we've got another new K-Bar, and this is not a brand new model, but it is a new variant of their Dozier Folding Hunter. Price on this is $19.95, and for a $20 knife, it's hard to do much better than any of these Dozier Folding Hunters. You've got AUS 8 steel, coated black in this case, and Zytel handles with this new green color, kind of a toxic zombie green, but with a little bit more blue to it, not super day glow, really nice. Got a lock back for security and a pocket clip that's 2-position, left or right, tip up carry. Now with that steel like AUS 8, you get a very good amount of performance, again, especially for a $20 knife. The profile being a drop point, it's nice and versatile. You can get a lot of stuff done, both daily carry stuff, as well as acting as a smaller game knife or a smaller hunting knife. Do a little camping with it. Maybe some of you ultralight folks out there that want a folding knife, this would not be a bad option. We've got a thumb stud that's equipped for right hand opening, but this can actually be removed and reversed and placed on the other side for left hand opening as well. The other thing that makes this knife such a great option, just such a great all-around recommendation, is the shape of those handles. Now overall, it may look like a fairly simple profile, but that's where the magic comes in, because that shape can accommodate a wide variety of different hand sizes, both smaller and larger, because you don't have any finger grooves to lock your grip into place, no big swell to make your hand go to a certain position. The beak over here is rounded over, so I can get all of my fingers in just on one side of that. If you've got bigger hands, you can ride all the way back out to the end of that knife, no problem. It's still nice and comfortable. Brand new Dozier Folding Hunter from K-Bar, 20 bucks with green handles, very cool. All right, next up we've got a new design from Alliance Designs, kind of a lot of designs in there, but this is from designer Ian Pekarsky, and this is called the Conquest. This knife has an M390 blade, and I like the shape of it a lot. You've got this upswept point, kind of a clip point, not quite a trailing point because the tip doesn't rise above the line of the spine, but it has that kind of style to it. We've got a a hollow grind that comes down very, very thin behind the edge. And the edge itself is very thin too, so this is going to be a slicing dream, I think. Especially because of that shape too. Some of you folks out there know that I really like a knife with a continuous curve to the edge, and this knife has that as well. Starts here, and there's no straight line to the edge at all, which is great because as you move your elbow, as you move through a cut with your wrist or your elbow, I should say, that line is kind of going to follow your cut. Really cool, really efficient slicer. The handles are titanium, and we have a couple of different finish options. Frame lock flipper, of course, because everything is these days, because it's just so awesome. Very satisfying. $335 on this model right here. Now, in addition to that base model, I know $355 or whatever I just said is a lot for a base model. We've actually got an upgrade at $510. And this model features a Damasteel blade and what they're calling fat carbon handles. It's got a really cool look that sets off really nicely against that Damasteel blade, I think. We've got these blue elements threaded throughout, and it's kind of you don't get the crosshatch of the carbon fiber that you typically see. You get more of like the topography you'd see in like a layered G10 or micarta, but it creates a really cool look. I didn't mention it before, but the action on these, well, I showed you, the action's great because we do have a set of ball bearings in the pivot as you'd expect. Nice milled titanium pocket clip. But one of the first things I noticed about this knife design is something you don't see too often in a folder. If we look at the end here, we look at the actual handle cross section, it has a bit of that inverted egg shape, which is awesome on a fixed blade because your hand indexes really well. I always appreciate when I see that in the folder because you really don't too often. Now, even though from the side profile, this doesn't look like a knife that would have a real full-handled grip, because of that cross section, when you put it in your hand, that changes. It feels really good. You know, the pocket clip does stick out just a little bit, but you know, that's something that all pocket knives have to deal with. Feels great. And even though there's not a full-size finger choil up front, there's enough real estate here with some crowned edges on the side or with some chamfered edges that you can choke up there, put your thumb right in there, you can get some nice fine control. Really cool knife from Alliance Designs, Ian Pekarsky Conquest. Now, one more note about Alliance Designs. If you've been following us on Instagram and Facebook, you know that we had their Slim Pickens model this week as well. But you greedy guys bought them all before I could show you on this video. So again, you see more stuff on our newsletters and our social media than you just see here. So make sure you're following those if you want to get the drop on some of the even cooler stuff. This is all cool, but obviously the Slim Pickens is cooler because they're gone for now. All right, next I want to show you another variant of the MKM Timavo. Now, we showed this to you last week because we were giving away the titanium handled Damasteel version of this, but that's only one of the variants that is available. We've got G10, carbon fiber, non-Damasteel titanium, but this version right here I really like, features green micarta handles. I've always been a fan of micarta on my fixed blades, and you see it a little bit on folders, but it's still not as prevalent as like a G10 or other synthetic materials, so I always appreciate seeing it. So they finished this micarta with a matte finish, so it has a little bit of texture on it without being aggressively grippy. But you're gonna have no problems holding on to this knife. I certainly don't think you would. Feels really good. I really like the warm feel of that micarta. Blade steel, M390, under 3 inches, under 2.7 inches actually. Nice crowned spine. It is an Italian knife after all. We see that a lot from them. Nice and comfortable, premium feature. And then the difference between this and some of the titanium models, we actually have a folded over wire pocket clip as opposed to the milled pocket clip on those other models. Not super deep carry, you have a bit sticking up there of course, but you've got a nice little lanyard tube running through the very end. It's kind of small, you wouldn't be able to fit paracord through there, but thinner things would be no problem. And this is a liner locking knife. You know, just if you looked at it from this side and had to guess what lock was on the other side, I would probably guess frame lock, but it's a liner lock. So you get that nice micarta on both sides. Jesper Vakne is designed too. Last thing I'll mention on there. Prices on this, $169, and then they go up a little bit from there if you get any of the other handle materials. So next up, we've got a new variant of the Rick Hinderer NIEVES butterfly knife. Now, Hinderer has only recently gotten into the balisong game heavily, but they're certainly making an impression on us because this is a top quality piece, no doubt about it. The new variant that I'm talking about here, we've got titanium handles, which have a bit of a stone-washed finish, which is quite nice. In addition to that, we've got a Sponto blade with stone-washed finish again, and S35 VN steel, about 4.5 inches of blade there, really nice. So I know some of you out there might wish this knife had bearings in the pivots, but we've actually got bronze washers that are super smooth, and they're gonna resist gunk and lint very nicely. I mean, I'm far from an expert, but there is nothing wrong with the action on these at all. It feels great, it feels nice and smooth, effortless. Prices on these knives, we're at $410 on this USA made balisong. Now there's no pocket clip on here, but you can see that's a typical Hinderer accessory pattern right there. So any pocket clip from the Hinderer stuff will fit into that little pocket right there. It can screw right on if you want to have this knife with a pocket clip. So in keeping with today's theme, even though we do have a couple of brand new, completely brand new designs here, there have been a lot of variants that I'm showing you. And this one is another variant. And this is the EMERSON HUCK, the hard use camp knife. What we get with this knife is Ernest Emerson's take on a traditional camp knife and an easy to carry belt knife. We've got about 4 1/4 inch of 154 cm steel, flat ground with a chisel edge, and you can get it either plain edge completely or with a partially serrated combo edge here as well. Stonewashed finish on the flats with a satin grind, and the handles on this variant are made from Richlite, which is one of my absolute favorite materials on the market right now. It's very similar to paper micarta actually, often uses recycled materials, but you get that nice smooth feel of paper micarta with some really cool contouring, some really cool topography as well. Prices on these for this version with the combo edge were at $290.66, a couple bucks cheaper if you want the plain edge version, but the handles have a fair bit of room on them. I have slightly larger hands and I've got enough space there, but if you have truly big bear paws, this might be a little bit too small for you. Included with the package also though, I've got a nice leather sheath, feels very high quality. We've got a good thick welt here and it locks in there quite nicely. If you'd rather go with a more traditional Emerson handle material, we've got black G10 as well as an option, and you can find all of those over at the Knife Center. All right, I'm really excited about this next one. Say hello to Snuggles. That's right, Snuggles the Warhammer from RMJ Tactical. Now this is another variant, I will admit, because we do have this model in stock already, have had, still do have, but we now have them with the Tiger Stripe G10, which is a KnifeCenter exclusive, which it's phenomenal. It's got the best look out of any of their G10 models, I think, personally. Got a nice milled twist pattern that reveals all kinds of little black and orange lines, hollow tubes flared at the ends on the handle. Check that out. This is one of those things, I don't know if you've ever seen me play around with the carcass splitter we have here, the Svord carcass splitter. This is one of those things that as soon as you take it out of the box, it just makes us smile. Look at it, it's great. So we've got a 3-piece head here, 80 CRV2 steel, so it's nice and tough. You can see we've got this meat tenderizer pattern. In fact, this probably is a meat tenderizer. We've got the carcass splitter cleaver. This is the carcass tenderizer. But it's Snuggles the Warhammer. What more do you want to know? It's just awesome. You don't need any other reason than that. Price, $595. Really cool. All right, we're gonna close things out with a couple more variants. We've got some new flashlights from Olight. Got a new Seeker 2 rechargeable with these orange and black, this orange and black colorway. Looks really cool. Sorry, it's sealed up, so we can't open the box up on that. Same thing with this new SR Baton 2 in copper. We love copper. Copper's awesome. It'll patina nicely and take on its own character, so your own flashlight is unlike any other. And my favorite of this bunch, a new S1R Baton 2 with red and copper accents. It looks awesome. 1,000 lumens out of this little guy right here. Prices were just under 70 bucks for this, about 90 bucks for the S2R, and 150 for the Seeker. But check out that red. It just looks phenomenal. Looks pretty good with our KnifeCenter exclusive red A-Lock Swiss Army knives too, I must say. Check them out. You can find all of this stuff at the Knife Center. But anyway, check it out. Thanks for sticking around with me with all the new stuff. Only a couple more new items videos to go before we're into the new year and we start seeing some even greater new product unveils and announcements coming out. So make sure to stick around on the channel here. Make sure you're subscribed. And if you want to get your hands on any of these knives, you can click the links in the description to head over to KnifeCenter.com. I'm David C. Anderson signing off. See you next time.
Zibbity-yay.
Loading, loading. I forgot to load one knife. It's this one. What am I trying to say here?
Especially in the bed.
Are you complaining? What am I trying to say here?
Beans.
I'll get to the shape when I talk this one. I'm sassy today.
Yeah, where was this on Monday?